I'll try to talk about the changes made to Zooey, or that they're planning to make to Zooey. So I'll be recording this before the changes are made. Also, for the ability to review those changes after they are made. Just right now, I am having huge question marks about where this is going. So I've put the changes on the right, so you can read them. We'll go through them, go through the theory, and then see what the effect would be. So we will start with, we'll be adjusting Zoe's underperforming skills, as well as giving her more options for various scenarios and opportunities for combo conversion. Alright, so if you look at Zoe's problems with conversion, I think, yeah, okay, character set to block. We'll turn it off. Okay, so the primary problem we have as Zoe players is that from here, this is about all we can get. We can try this, and then we can't even convert anymore. So this is the opportunities for conversion problem that Zoe primarily faces. This is about all she has. It's not even all that bad, because if you look at, for example, Beatrix in mid-screen, it's about the same. The problem kind of more arises when she gets close to the corner. I think it's around about this range, where she kind of can get damage but doesn't really want to. At some point you can opt to go for this and then go with that follow-up or anything of that kind. But as you can see, the damage is not all that great for the resources invested. If you compare it to a tensionless combo, it's 900 damage. It's not that much. It's like this. There's nothing to write home about. So these are the kind of things that bother Zoe. Mid-screen, she hasn't got anything to go by, and in the corner, well, if she's completely in the corner, she's pretty much fine, because she can... Well, I don't... No, sorry. Okay, that also needs to be fixed, by the way. So she can get this chain in. It's okay. It's not all that great either, but this is the basic chain that you can expect to get when you're close. This is of course based on hitting normals and not the fancy stuff like the fire breath and the beam. Because for that you have different combos, and those combos are actually fine. They do good damage, and you don't really have anything to worry about. So if you're looking at the conversion, mid-screen, from normals, especially this one, because this doesn't combo. So when you hit this, you got nothing. So this normal is also currently the most useless normal in the game, because this exists. And when you hit, you get +6 rather than -2. So, but we'll get to that one as well, because that's even more funny. So, when you're looking in neutral with Zoe, you're primarily looking at hitting this move, and preferably on count hit, so you can actually combo into Fire Breath. Or you're looking to hit that move to get closer and to actually do a mix-up. Even if it just connects, you can at least try to throw. So, and this move, it just does nothing. It sometimes is useful for combos when you can get that one random hit in, but you're primarily when you're looking at using this move, you're hoping your opponent walks into it, and then you're forced to come up with this, because this is just garbage. So that's the issue. That's her conversion issues. Of course, then there's cooldown. So when you're forced to put your big move on cooldown, for whatever reason, Next best thing you got is this. Of course, when you got this range, the lightning strike is not there as a combo opportunity. It has different purposes. Patapon is using it often to bait people spot dodging. So it's not entirely useless, but for combos it's no. So let's start with the so that's the underlying thought process that they claim to have gone for. So that's fine. So firstly, they'll increase the travel distance of both spinning slash and aerial spinning slash. When follow-up far-standing hard slash, or sorry, far-standing heavy. Ah, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. Guilty Gear terminology. My bad. So, okay. So both spinning slash, medium spinning slash, and medium aerial spinning slash, and the follow-up distance for standing heavy with medium spinning slash. Now every time should land. So if I'm looking at the maximum distance, we already are in a position where we will always convert. Unless, of course, you're dealing with the medium, which does not convert to the medium spinning slash for God knows what reason. So what we're looking at is basically this. We're looking at that one scenario. And I, for the life of me, cannot fathom why we would be bothered with that. Because this is available. And it does more damage. It does more damage, it fills your Dragon Meter, it does everything you would want to do. And when you're dealing with those kind of ranges, you're not really looking for a spinning slash or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, I just can't comprehend it. And then the other move that they said they will be improving, that's this one. So it will now travel further than it already did, which is not the problem with the move. The problem with the move is, quite frankly, and then we'll just make the opponent do it, is that when it gets guarded, you're at neutral. You're at exactly 0. And your opponent, basically, if he does that move, he'll clash. Because you will be forced to do the same move. You'll both clash, and then you'll get the clash scenarios. And that's if you both push a button. If he decides to actually reversal, you most likely are going to get hit. Because you're kind of forced to do something with the scenario, otherwise you're just sacrificing yourself to your opponent, who often has a stronger close game than you do. Because you have a 7 frame medium, and he has a 6. And you have an 8 frame crouching medium, and he has a 7 frame crouching medium. So, you have to then weigh that out against your opponent actually anticipating the move, and being able to punish that. So that's the problem with aerial spinning slash. You end up at +0 on block for a move that is very punishable when the opponent more or less expects it. All he has to do is just stand here and do nothing. And if you are increasing the range on this move, you're basically putting Zooey in a position where she can pull out that move while the opponent has no reason to attack her. Especially when we're dealing with characters like Nier or Beatrix. They can reach this distance. And this distance Zooey can already cross. So it does nothing for her. Absolutely nothing. And what she actually needed on the medium aerial was +2. So that when the opponent tries to react after that, he's basically at a what's currently a 6XL situation. That's what was needed, and this is what we're getting. So then we have the other Okay, so the ultra spinning slash or the ultimate spinning slash that they've put that one on the bottom. It's out of order with the skill name and the details as well as and the summary of changes. However, let's discuss this. So I already mentioned that converting the ultimate spinning slash doesn't allow you any kind of follow-up. I mean, the 6XL that I'm trying to put after is already a one frame link because this is one frame. I cannot, I do not have a 10 frame move, but I don't think I can, I'm pretty sure I can't hit it. So you're already at a very tight link, and then you have the problem that your opponent just flies out of range. So how do they solve this? And I'm reading this like directly. Spinning slash can only be used as a conversion in the corner. So we've made it so Zooey won't push herself out of the out of an advantageous position. My English is pretty bad in the morning. I'm sorry. It still retains -4 on block. So this would initially make sense because if Zooey would or wouldn't push her opponent out of an advantageous position, that would mean that we can at least get something here to continue with. But then we see the actual change that's listed in the details. Spinning slash no longer pushes Zooey back when blocked in the corner. And this retains the -4 on block. So if we put the block on, and I'll just set the character to throw so that, because I think this is basically what's going to happen. No, so right now you're right outside of throw range, and I cannot set the opponent to throw at the right timing. But basically, when you get put closer, you're in throw range. You can actually get thrown from this move, and that's not a buff. There's already a nerf on the global where hitting the spinning slash, and this would be primarily something relevant for punishers, baiting something. We would then have to sacrifice a bravery point to actually get the good damage. So that's already getting nerfed. So we're already getting a, it's about 30%, well, not so 30% damage reduction. I expect it to be a 7,000 damage combo rather than an 8,000 damage combo. From just guesstimating it. But when that decision is made in error, or when you're doing a very fancy setup that you're getting, and you can actually get the +13, +14 frames that you need to actually start up the ultra spinning slash, if you make a mistake in that, or if you are making a mistake in the setup, your opponent now has a free throw in the corner, as well as you spending 50 meter trying to get that setup. So that again is a pretty hefty nerf. Now we are going to talk about the Thunder. So the Thunder is something that right now has peculiar usages. So the primary problem that I've had with Thunder, if you're actually thinking about what Zooey's strengths are, basically you're looking at beam, fire breath, beam. These two things are her primary sources of threat in neutral. It's not her standing medium. It's not even this move. No, you're primarily looking at that conversion into flame breath, or you're looking for beam or something in that sense, where the opponent is forced to do something to either prevent the chip damage or to actually get past it. So these moves actually force the opponent to make a decision, quite frankly. Thunder, if we take starting position, it is very prone to missing. And Zooey, the opposing Zooey, is actually standing on the landing spots of the lightning. Yet, this is not being dealt with. For some reason, we are dealing with the convertibility. So right now the conversion is like this, and it leaves you at +2. It's not something you really want to go for because it's +2, but yeah. So they decided to make that a floating attack. And from what I'm reading, so the sword portion of the attack will now launch, will now launch the foe upon connecting. Additionally, lateral knockback has been greatly increased. This is for all three of them. So lateral knockback for the heavy is already this. So I don't know what they're planning to do, but this is going. If they are increasing that will send the opponent from one side of the screen to the other side. Like that's from here and then all the way to the other corner. That's basically what they're saying, and I hope that that's in error, because that doesn't make sense. So then we're talking about the launching on the L and the medium thunder. So what I'm presuming is that we're, well, it's not even comboing, but basically that you get something like this, where instead of 3 lightning bolts you get just one of them. And then I'm expecting this kind of knockback, to be honest. So we get a few more frames because the opponent has to recover. But at the same time, the best thing we're going to get out of that is a 6XL, which we can now finally cancel into 6M. Or sorry, not 6M, 5M. But then not that much, really. So yeah, what I would rather see, because this is something that Beatrix also has, and there are some other characters that have these kind of strings, is that when we get this, we can actually continue and do a little bit more damage. Just because that would actually round out her mid-screen damage significantly. Because this also taps into another problem. I'll discuss that a little bit later, because the thunder changes are still on. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the thunder, the heavy thunder, as I showed previously, we have this combo. And we also have, of course, the variants where you combo to the SBA and SSBA. That's now gone, because you will now float your opponent. And the third hit will now actually keep the opponent floated. But that already means that you're going to be hitting your combo limit sooner. Because that's what they did. They put you in the air, so you're now subject to the combo limit. So they actually reduce the damage on your 2 heavy, effectively. So that's again another nerf. Then what they also didn't deal with was that if your opponent has a sliding move, like for example Lancelot, and I'll show you. I'll just show you, because otherwise people may not believe me and all that shit. I may be spreading misinformation. I'll be doing that anyway, so who cares? I think it was this move. I'll have to put him on block. Yeah, so it's this move. So if I do this and I try to hold, he gets a free punish. It's something that I found out during one of the matches. But it's not just him. I presume that Nier can do the same thing. Where if you actually are stupid enough to actually try to get a lightning setup going, they'll just take offense from you. And they can just mash that freely, because if you are using all 3 or using the... Oh, if you're using the full move... sorry, that was my mistake. So if you're using the full move, they already hit the timing where they're outside that they mash it to you for the system. So that's not been addressed. Instead, we get this. That's partly fine, I suppose. I'm not happy with it, especially because this is still a problem. We can't use it. We cannot use the actual thunder. The only thing we can use is air. So let me put back to the character. I can bait out at some moves. Where is Zooey? There she is. Alright. Oh, no, wait, actually, because now we're going to talk about the ultimate thunder. So, so if we make the opponent do something stupid, and we bait it out. Rising sword. Alright. We'll grab the nicer one, just for demonstration purposes. And this is already nerfed, so you get this punish. And when you're closer to the corner, you get an even better punish because you refill your meter and you can combo the SSBA. So when your opponent has less than 2/3 of his health remaining and he does that and you get that punish, you win. So that's what was previously there. And this was actually a very good use for the move. The problem that this move has is that when you go for the lightning, you can your opponent can basically attempt to evade the beam. And I don't think I have enough block stun to get the actual timing in. But basically, the opponent's able to evade both these moves at the same time, and then he can still recover. Can I get this? No, I can't even get the range in. But he can generally recover in time to block. And it's very finicky on this. As it is right now. So that's something that should have been addressed, because if this timing was a little bit sooner, this move would have been that much better. But instead, we got the adjustment and attributes. Startup has been reduced by 2 frames. So right now, to actually get the hit in, we'll just take the guard off, put a counter hit on. So right now, to actually combo into it, you need a counter hit close heavy. Oh, you can also, okay, so slightly better. I think so we can actually check now what the counter hit does in terms of extension, yeah. It's an extension. Plus 11, that's not good. We'll try another move, because this one is normal. So that's plus 0 and minus 8. So counter hit gives 8 frames. So that's going to be interesting. Well, basically what they are marketing is that the ultimate thunder will now combo from your 5 heavy close, not your 5 heavy like this, but from your 5 heavy close. And that also implies that when you do this string and then try to combo into this, you're not going to get that. Just a moment. So that begs the question, what's the purpose of this? You are normal hitting, so you you are basically forced to actually find the hit confirm. And then I think they increased the knockback again. It produces 5 lightning strikes. Sword portion is no longer a guard crush. Nobody was using the guard crush, so because previously there was this where you could do the heavy thunder with ultimate thunder. They removed that, so nobody's using the guard crush anymore because you can't do anything with it because Zoe's between quotes a balanced character. So those are more or less the pushback has been adjusted. So from what we saw in the video, it pushes you back somewhere around this range, and about the thing you can get is this follow basically. Not entirely a problem. It's just that comboing into this. So even if you are willing to sacrifice 50% meter, because that's basically what they are asking you to do. You can't do it because this is not sensible for a player to do. Maybe on Punisher, as a Punisher. As a Punisher, they can try to do that. They sacrifice 50% on their meter, and if they are if they're below 30% HP, they will always go for this. Because quite frankly, taking off 2 BP from your opponent and hitting the 6,600 damage at the same time is better than whatever this is going to deliver. As you can see, 1,000 damage less, opponent retains all their BP. No way. So it's a highly questionable change for me. And then we have the last wish. So for pad players, they can now use the throw button. Stick players are not bothered. Stick players are already overwhelmed with the amount of buttons that they have because the dash button is very much mandatory to get the dash attack in, especially from walking backwards. So stick players are not actually waiting for a new button. Hopefully they're not adding any more than the 7 that they already have. Armageddon active frames close range, so it will now be easier to hit the Armageddon follow up. So Armageddon, that will be this move. Yeah, that was necessary to be honest, because there were so many characters that would just, if you'd fire a projectile, they would just launch their shit and they would actually get the follow up. And meanwhile, we're stuck with this. So I'm actually that's probably the one thing that I would easily consider a buff with no questions asked. So but now again, I do not understand what these changes are meant to fix in light of what they're saying at the start of the summary of changes. They're saying we'll be adjusting the Zoe's underperforming skills. The primary underperforming skill that we have right now is actually this one. Because there are scenarios where this move can whiff. This is another problem, is that we are lacking damage conversion. Because we cannot actually use the medium move. And okay, so it's not that much, but it's not very pleasant. And we also, when we hit this move, we get no follow-up. So yeah. Of course, the net effect remains to be seen, and I'll probably watch this video back after the changes to make it to verify what the changes are, and to see what they are amounting to for Zoe. But yeah, so rounding out Zoe's moveset hasn't really happened. Instead, the problems that she currently has are persisting. The problems that the moves have specifically as to why they're not used persist. Aerial spinning slash. The problem with this move is it's -2 on block. Sorry, it's not -2 on block. It's -2 on block. So not only is your opponent able to take offense back by just doing nothing, he can also launch any move high enough to intercept it and get a massive punisher. So if the move is spotted, ahead of time, Zooey will be incurring a lot of damage. And if the move isn't spotted, but the opponent is simply passive, the opponent gets to take his turn back. For medium, you get the scramble. You are in melee proximity, pretty much throw range. Is your opponent able to beat you trying to throw? That's something worth testing for a moment. So we'll do this. Sorry, that's the wrong button. I'm actually not able to attack. That's the problem with this move. This is why nobody's using it. You're in a very bad scramble, and the only option that you have is throw or... hold on. Super. Those are your basic options from that scramble situation. That's why the move sucks. And that's not been addressed. This is the only move you can use. And... no, I should be able to... yeah, I thought so. That's the only move you can use. Because after that, you can at least do something to continue your offense. And the Punisher still doesn't weigh up. So if you actually get intercepted by any reasonable anti-air, the Punisher will still outdo the actual damage that you deal with the move. So that's again not been addressed. I think that the the heavy spinning slash should actually convert to at least a medium, so that the damage scaling doesn't affect it too much as it is doing right now. But the changes that they made does not make sense. The Thunder change I am on the wall about. I'm not sure about whether this will be good or bad. If they made, like I said, if they made light, if they made that combo to 6XL, and then that follow up, that would be fine, because then we could at least continue. We would have a combo much like, for example, Beatrix has, where she can combo the medium string or basically any string into heavy fireball, light standing light, and then the 2-2H. That would have been fine. It's just right now I'm unsure. I think it's just going to knock the opponent down, because it's going to be air lightning, and then you still got nothing. So now in general, the problem that Zooey has with 6XL when used against her is that her means of interrupting it are basically this. Both of them have about the same range as well. So your 2U, your sweep is basically an invitation for your opponent to just be a little late. He just has to be 7 frames late, and he can just do the 6XL anyway, get the hit, get the damage, and you look like an idiot. So you're relegated to actually using this move, which will clash with any 6XL attempts, because 6XL is a light move. So it's not, if it was a level below light, then this would have been fine. But you're likely to clash, and your opponent is likely to push a button, and when you're both at +0 at this range, specifically, where your opponent has a 6 frame medium and you have your 6 frame light and your 7 frame medium, your opponent is still in advantage. So if you consider all that and everything that's there, you can't actually interrupt a 6XL string. So if your opponent does 2 6XLs, you are at -2. Your 2M may just about be able to punish it or to stop it if you call out the 6XL. So, and again, making a mistake in this concept allows your opponent to not just get a little conversion, because some of your opponents will just murder you. When you are guessing the incoming 6XL wrong, your opponent can get to do a lot of damage. Not like Zooey, where she can get about that much worth of combo. She can maybe get in 4,000 damage. No, some of your opponents will just send you to the corner, do a full combo, and actually get the SBA damage. And that means you've lost 8,000 HP from a mistake. So Zooey's defense in these kind of scenarios, she is forced to spend her BP quite early. If she does not spend BP, she has no DP to actually get her out of trouble, unless she has 50% meter. 50% meter is already a telltale sign for the opponent to back off just a little. So it already kind of gets harder for Zooey to actually use that properly. Then if she's in the corner and she launches this by mistake, she takes full damage. She takes full anti-air damage because any opponent can just to ace that. If they're at least looking for that kind of damage, they can do that, and they can do sufficient damage. And that's again 8,000 to 9,000, sometimes even 10,000 health gone from attempting to reversal. Plus, you've lost your 50% meter trying to do that reversal. For opponents that do have a normal reversal, like Jita for example, 6XL is not nearly as big of a problem. But for characters like Zooey, and I think Matera as well, and there's a few others, they are reliant on actually interrupting with this, and it costs them so much, because that meter for them is absolutely necessary for any kind of threat right now. So and they're already nerfing that for well, because Zeta exists. But again, it does not solve the fundamental problem. And then they decided to make this a chain for all characters, which solves some of the imbalance between characters, but it doesn't actually solve the fundamental problem with 6XL, is that it, for one, is massively better than any standing poke that any character has, with a handful of exceptions. It also puts you on +2 on guard. So not only do you get to cross the distance to your opponent for 9 frames, putting your opponent in a position where he is forced to guess, putting your opponent in a position where he can't really use his 4G, because if you launch your 6XL from +2, you're going to be somewhere around +8 when your opponent does try to spot dodge. And you then still get punished. So that's the 6XL should have been a 6XM, in all honesty, and it should have been +0 on block. When you actually hit, you should be at +4 at best. And then when you get the count hit, then you should be able to convert into something more interesting, because then you actually did the work. This is not doing work. This is just free, and it does add an interesting aspect to the game for a lot of characters. But some characters just get too much out of this. if you're looking at anyone with a 6 frame medium, for example, the best example, of course, is Nier. She just runs in, does her thing, a puppet comes out, and the opponent is stuck. And if the opponent makes a mistake, they lose health. If they make no mistake, they get put in a loop, and then they get mixed up, and then they still lose health. And if that doesn't work, then there are still some Nier setups, and this is right now, where she can just Raging Strike, open you up, and if you try to Brave Counter that, because you couldn't spot dodge because you were stuck in block stun, when you try to Brave Counter that, the Brave Counter will miss. So, and that all starts from this for some of these characters. Belial has a 6 frame medium that's then cannot be interrupted with 5L because the next 6 frame medium is a medium and you have a light, and your light gets crushed. So Belial can basically loop from 2M to 6XL, 2M, 6XL, 2M, 6XL, because those 7 frames that you have to interrupt are basically not enough to identify and actually interrupt the move properly. Plus, the 7 frames that you get will not really allow you to use this if your opponent does the link proper tight. And this again clashes and puts you in a bad position where Belial can just continue. So yeah, that's my rant on the 6XL. If we're talking about 6XM dash M, because yeah, this is 6XM. We skipped that in the initial listing because it's absolutely useless. So 6XM requires your opponent to be crouching for whatever reason. So the range where 6XM does something is at this range, where your opponent is forced to crouch. If your opponent guards that, and I'll just put the throw off so you can see the. So you're at -6. Your opponent can. Well, he can actually get the raging strike combo going right now. So you'd be inclined to actually use it from afar, so that your opponent cannot actually do a 5L and punish you. But then the next question is very apparent, and that's, what's the purpose of this move? You can't actually, you are not threatening a crouching attack, because you don't have one. And the advantages for standing are just that much greater, because if your opponent is trying to go for you and you're walking backwards, they can't throw you, because you'll just be out of range at the worst possible time. Zooey is also not fast enough to intercept some opponents walking backwards, or even dashing backwards, because she doesn't have the walking speed, quite frankly. So to increase the range on this is absolutely useless, especially because hitting it does nothing. You cannot convert it, you cannot do anything with it. There is absolutely no benefit to hitting this move, besides doing 1100 damage. If we compare this, for example, with Jita, let me see if I can find the... So she has a long range low, which can then actually, which can then intercept me trying to gain distance from her, because Zooey also does not have a way to gain distance. So this is actually a threat that causes an opponent to stop moving and guard low. And because of the way that this normal works, she can still be out of range for any punishers that Zooey can launch. And Zooey has an 8-frame long range 2 medium. Her standing medium is 9 frames because of balancing reasons. So some of these moves are, when properly spaced, are unpunishable, and the opponent can then use that to force a crouching block, that will prevent the opponent from moving backwards, and that will allow for these characters, allow them to actually gain distance on the opponent before the opponent can actually properly respond. Zooey simply does not have this. Any character that has this move, or any variant of this move, simply does not have this. Nier is accepted from this problem because Nier has a massive puppet slamming the opponent while she's doing this, keeping the opponent in place and allowing her to actually get the damage in that rewards using that move. And she has a counter mix-up at the same range because she has a long-range crouching medium and a long-range crouching ultimate. Beatrix has a longer range crouching ultimate, allowing her to get just a little bit more threat in, allowing her move to be a little bit more useful, but only by a fucking hair. Like when Zooey is absolutely useless, Beatrix's 6xm is just slightly less useless because she has that threat, just a slightly longer threat on her crouching ultimate. Of course, hitting this move for her also does absolutely nothing. And because she doesn't even have this setup, she can't even convert it. So, again, if they just made this 6xm for all characters, and then for the 6xl, you could try making some kind of crouching light or crouching or overhead. I wouldn't even care all that much because when you're using that move, you're looking for something specific and you're not trying to gain distance. But because the two are reversed at the moment, and to be honest, I would just get rid of the dash M's completely because the net effect is about the same as just hitting the 6xl immediately, with the added caveat that some characters can now hit the opponent crouching rather than standing. Yeah, I don't think that's it's basic to me. 6xm right now is a meme, and the moves are not nearly as useful as they should be, except for with some characters where they can completely start offense against characters like Zooey that do not have the defensive means to stop a 6xl pressure. So when Jita, for example, lands her 6xm and then goes into 6xl, Zooey is pretty much forced to use a brave counter, a bravery point to stop it. Otherwise, she will either get pushed into the corner, trying to be defensive, or she'll even get mixed up and then pushed into the corner. So yeah, to be honest, I think that's about it. Right now, as the changes are, I simply do not comprehend them. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe later on it'll all make sense and it will be perfectly fine. But right now, as much as the fairy players have question marks about their changes, I got question marks on the changes of Zooey. They absolutely make no sense. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully things will be better than expected. But we'll have to see. And until then, I hope to see you after the patch. Bye bye.